Shalom. Today is Sunday, I believe the 20th. Yeah, come. Sunday, February the 20th, 2022. Coming out here once again. First, we give our praises and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kadash, Ba'ashem my other apostles, the great millstone, Ruben, Tarsus crew. Shalom to you, Akim out there, express this word in true sincerity. Shalom to you, Fuak Waf as well. Today I'm getting into the awakening and also the disbursement of the Jews and of Israel. So, Lord willing, today's street ministry is edifying. I got some precepts already. I'm gonna start with as you brothers know out there. Because the reason why I want to get into this subject matter is because damn exhaust fix, man. Fucking vans, the newer vans sound like that. It's not good. Anyways, though, the reason why I'm gonna go into this subject matter because first of all, it's important that we go into these different breakdowns as we were taught, and also just to prove that we are the true children of Israel according to the Bible, man. Because with the 1948ers, there was no Great Awakening. Right? We know what the curses say in the book of Deuteronomy 28th chapter, which befell upon the so-called Negroes, like to live American people on the side, and not them, and the Great Awakening, like I was speaking about, which the Great Awakening was the Great Awakening of the children of Israel, to put them in remembrance of who they were. All right, now let's get into it. That's something that's overlooked by people. That's something that's overlooked by you wacky-tacky Christians because you don't even read the scriptures and even go into the doctrine, the true doctrine, the true breakdowns of scriptures. You don't pay attention to what the scriptures are saying according to what will happen to the children of Israel, which is the Bible is a prophetic book, man. All right. Prophecy is something that was told before it happened. All right, so that's what I'm going into, prophecy, man. All right. Paul said, "Covered to prophesy, man." So, pull up my app real quick, my KJV 1611 app. I use my mobile sword, by the way, a lot. It's just more convenient. Great tool to have or use. When it gets warm out, pull out my mobile sword is just good. You can type in words, go right to it. So this is Ezekiel. Slocky, 1 second. Put enough time in. This is Ezekiel 37, the one that says, "The hand of Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones. So, yeah, all right. It's like my little side job never stops. And, yeah, this is my day I don't work, man. Really. 'Cause I'm off. I work 6 days, and Jake, man, just irksome sometimes. Ezekiel 37:1 says, "The hand of Yahweh was upon me; it carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which is full of bones." Now, this is talking about the children of Israel because we're just going to go into it, but the bones represents a spiritual dead state that the children of Israel will be in. Verse 2, "It caused me to pass by them round about, and beheld, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry." Now, when you look at the landmass of the land you call America, it consists of mountains, and then in between the mountains you have the valley, all right, which most of the people live in, the valley of the plains, all right. It says, verse 3, "And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord power, thou knowest. And he said to me, Prophesy upon these bones, and said to them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live." Because what happened? Well, through captivity or slavery, we had it where all our heritage and customs and even our language was lost. We was forced to, when the Spaniards and the conquistadors came over, we was forced to speak their language, and they brought the tents of Judah over from Europe and the west coast of Africa, and our language was stripped from us, through slavery. Now we speak mainly our present language, which is mainly English. But we don't speak, some of us speak our language again now through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, but for the most part, our language is lost through slavery, So when you come,
and Latinos too. It's not just like the tribe of Judah.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Because the term Latino, this derived from Latino, it means Sephardic Jew or Spanish.
The so-called, if you look at the sign, ma'am, I'm actually teaching to the brothers and sisters on camera, onto YouTube, but they're on the sign as well. So I know who my brethren are.
Yes,
Trust me, I've been in this land way before invaders got here. I will be what you call a Seminole Indian. So
me too.
So well, all right then. So so if your father's a so-called Seminole, then you will be a woman of the tribe of Judah. I mean, it's not like Reuben. I'm sorry, you'll be Reuben. So there you go. I'm gonna continue teaching now. All right. So which what they call us, by the way. You know the history. I'm gonna ask you a question now. So what they refer to when they refer to Seminole Indians, what they call us?
Well, there's different names.
I'm saying, what's the main name they call Seminole Indians?
Seminole?
Yeah, Seminoles. They refer to us as, they call us mainly black Seminoles. All right then.
And Song of Solomon, God's
I'm saying, can I ask you a question then? Since you know a little history, right? Let me ask you a question then, since you want to ask a question. Who was the tribe of Judah today?
African American.
All right. Okay. So you've been following along? I can't hear you.
The
diaspora. Yeah, disbursement.
Yeah. And so the tribe of Judah came around where the Bight of Wani was, because there was a land there called it was like O-U-I or O-I-U.
You talking about let's go back to like Wida, which go back to the word.
The name for Judah.
Yeah.
How it got changed to the etymology of the different language.
Well, yeah, the proper name. Well, the tribe of Judah, the name is special because they have the Heavenly Father name in their tribe. So the real word went from Yahweh to with the man called himself white. He called him first of all, he don't pronounce the words right, for one. Like you read the original handbill, it says Hebrews, but really they just Hebrews.
Yes.
So
I have some of that in my ancestry.
Okay, well that's good then. When you're an Israelite woman, you can be
Yeah,
just because your skin complexion may look like doesn't mean you know anything. It's all about who your fathers go back to.
That's right, because you can't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
So people just look at me like the white girl, and they don't realize I had slave ancestors from the early 1800s.
Well, Joe Rogan, his father come from the Italians. He knew that Italians was made by the Moors.
Yeah, I'm half Italian.
Huh?
I'm half
Okay, well, there you go then. All right, man. Y'all have a good day.
Italian. You too.
All right, good talk.
I hope I meet you again. We can teach you.
Oh, that's all right. All right. So, well, man, verse Ezekiel 37:3 says, "And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, power thou knowest. And he said again unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus said the Lord power unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live." Now, what does that mean about the breath? Well, when you go into the scriptures, like you go into the history of Adam, which that word is Adama, he breathed nostrils into him, meaning, or breathed breath into him, which means he brings knowledge and understanding up in him. Because prior to the sin that was in the garden, you know, they knew righteousness, they didn't know evil or wickedness. They went to the serpent beguiled her, which serpent is a man, all right, not some actual snake or serpent. You know, it's actual man, which you go to Revelation, the 20th chapter, it goes into that. All right, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. The devil means, or Satan means adversary. You have a spiritual demon, Satan. You have the devil means accuser or slanderer. All right, so it's verse 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. So that's a representation of the Most High causing, spiritually, the bones to gather flesh upon them. All right, just like you take a skeleton, it's just a skeleton. Well, the skeleton is clothed with muscles and tissue and skin, and then it has a spirit in it. Now it's a living vessel. All right. Let me get that real quick. This is 2nd Esdras 3. Second Esdras 3, and I'm going to start at verse 4. O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. And thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forth. So there you go, man. Because when you go into the history of the Genesis, meaning beginnings, when you go into the history of how man was created, it was our Lord that created man, and then he gave man understanding. All right, because without the Lord, you don't have any understanding. You don't have any knowledge or wisdom or understanding how to do things. Right? That what makes you a living vessel. All right. It says, verse 7, unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointedst death in him, and his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, peoples, and kindreds out of number. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. So, verse 9, and again, because basically back then they had the oral version of the law, all right? Like when you go into the account of Or you bring up Sodom and Gomorrah. How do they know there was a great evil or abomination, abominable acts that was going on? Because they knew the law early. All right, that's why you go into Cain and Abel, when the Lord commanded them to bring an offering, Abel knew to bring a righteous offering, which he brought a meat, which is lamb. And then Cain brought, vegetation, which was not sufficient for a sacrifice. That's the reason why he rose up and smite or killed Abel. Right? That's it. I'll go back to Ezekiel 37 now. Ezekiel 37, man, verse 9. Ezekiel 37, 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord power, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said to me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off from our parts, because of being rebellious. Because that's the reason why we went to these captivities. You got the when we was made a nation in the Egyptian captivity, and then you got the Babylonian / Syrian empires, which we was captives in that, or slaves in that. You have the Medo-Persian empire, which were slaves in that. You have the Greece, the empire of the Greeks, which translated to the Romans, the Greco-Roman Empire. And also you have the Roman Empire, which is extended through America, because America is a revival of the Roman Empire. Right? Everything in America is everything in America is made of comes from the old ways of the Romans, right? The Greeks. They were the same people. It's like it. It says, verse 12, therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord of power, behold, on my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Now, this hasn't happened yet. All right, now, when did the Great Awakening start? Well, the Great Awakening started with which we learned of Elder High Priest Abba Bivens. All right, and then we learned of Elder High Priest King Mashah, High Priest Ariyah, High Priest Yaquab, all the great men that was before our elders, which we call the elder apostles today. We learned those great men, and actually we seen some of their work, which those men was teaching and waking up Israel way back when, even before I was born, And so starting with Abba Bivens, which I believe through the reincarnation, that was Elijah in the reincarnation. I believe according to faith that through reincarnation, the Bible teaches that Abba Bivens was Elijah, because when you go to the book of Malachi, Malachi 4:5, it says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers. He shall come and smite the earth with a curse. So did Elijah come back? Well, he came back. and he was John the Baptist. But when he came on the scene as John the Baptist, the siege of Jerusalem, which was a horrible time in the land of Israel, when the Romans had besieged, the Israelites that were in the land of Israel at that time, namely of the southern kingdom and remnants of the tribes. So he come back, but he came back as he came back as John the Baptist, like I said. But as a people, Jake knew who they were at that time. All right, Israel knew who they were at that time. Even when you go into the New Testament, you had the Israelite foreigners. You had Cornelius. You had the Jewish one. The Jewess. It was a lady. She was a. Let me get that. You had the centurion. Matthew 8 chapter speaks about the centurion, which he asked the Lord to heal his servant, and the Lord healed his servant. All right. And he believed in the Lord, because I'm going to read it right here. Matthew 8, just give an example. Matthew 8 and 5. And I was shouting to Capernaum. There came unto him a centurion beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Yahushua said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. So the centurion believed in Yahushua. It says, verse 9, for I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, and he goeth, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. When Yahushua heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Now, somebody would actually think, he don't say he's an Israelite, he don't say he's a Jew. Well, the Edomites was over Jake at that time. Did any Edomites believe in the Lord? See? And then the fact that he was a centurion, I did a lesson about this earlier this week, end of this week. But this, another day I did a lesson on Cornelius would say he was a officer in this Italian band, and also knowing his ranking, he was part of the I believe it said the Roman army. Let me see, go to real quick. You go into that history, into the book of Acts, the 10th chapter, But there are Israelites today that's in the military. You have the so-called Negro tribes, the so-called Latin tribes, the so-called Native tribes. They all serve the military. Some of them got high rankings. This guy named Michael Xavier, he's the top. All right, how you doing, bro? You have this guy by the name of Michael Xavier. I believe he's the top brass right now. He's an Israelite. He's the top brass in the U.S. military. And so, as it is this very day, you have Israelites that have high ranking, and he's in the army or military. It ain't got to be just the army. It can be Marines. the Air Force, the Navy. Understand today, Michael Xavier, he's a top-ranking brass. All right. So the Centurion was over soldiers. Well, I had cousins that was that held positions in the military, whether it was the army, what have you, and they had a ranking, and they was had command over a certain amount of soldiers. So that's no difference, man. You know, it's just a position they hold in the army. But you can compare the Roman army to the American army because it does the same thing. And then Israelites participated or joined the Roman army back then, and then same as today. I mentioned in that video about this guy Tiberius Julius Alexander, which was an Israelite, man, and he helped with the siege of Jerusalem. See, and he was like second in command behind Vespasian, son Titus, and he held a higher rank even under with the other son man, Slakia. Let me get that real quick. Going in history. Yeah, Domitian. That was okay. He had high rank. He was like second in command under Domitian, I believe it was. All right. So you know, it's no different, man. You know, you had Israelites doing the same thing now that was going on back then. The scriptures say there's no new thing under the sun, man. All right. And as a matter of fact, today, you know, especially the Army and Marines, those mainly Israelites that, you know, for the most part, that make up the Army and Marines. All right. Let's go back to Malachi 4:5. It says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the dreadful day of Yahweh." So, like I said, he came on the scene as John the Baptist, and then he was beheaded. All right, because John was sentenced to prison on the island of Patmos, and then he was beheaded. Verse 16, "You should turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, because I come to smite the earth with a curse." So John the Baptist, you know, when you go into the New Testament, when Elijah came back as John the Baptist, he was actually doing that, man. All right, he was actually, he was baptizing, and he was, you know, prophesying of the coming of our Lord. You know, John was actually turning the hearts of the children back to the fathers. All right. And the great and dreadful day of the Lord, of Yehovah Shemel Shai, hadn't happened yet. Like I said, when John the Baptist was on the scene, the Romans had already besieged Jerusalem. They already had full control of Israel, all right, of the land of Israel, man. All right, and so they weren't talking about, you know, going to the history of 70 AD, which could really go from 66 to 73, was a real dark time for Jake, you know. I was talking about the great and dreadful day, talking about the destruction of Esau society, beginning with so-called America. When the Lord's going to come back and destroy Esau, and then you got Babylon the Great. All right, Babylon the Great, which Babylon the Great is America. All right, and it also mentions, it says this place is the virgin daughter of Babylon. All right, old daughter of the Chaldeans, because this place America does the same thing as the Chaldeans, especially with the witchcraft and sorcery. You know, you go into the history, the Chaldeans was big into sorcery and witchcraft and dealing with familiar spirits and all that stuff. You know, you can read about that even in the book of Daniel. Right, so let's go from there to the book of Jeremiah. Like I said, I mentioned this earlier, moments ago. Jake knew that there was Israelites knew they was Israelites back then. All right, so the Great Awakening didn't happen back then. Roughly, little 2,000 years ago. The Great Awakening didn't happen back then because Israel knew they was Israel back then. All right. Only time Israelites didn't know they was Israelites was during this captivity right here in Babylon the Great. Okay, this is where we lost our heritage. This is where we lost our nationality and language, man. All right, Jeremiah 17:4. It says, "And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." So, excuse me. So, when did we discontinue from our heritage? The so-called America. All right. Like I said, you had it where Esau came over here. He took us down, took Gad down, Ephraim, Issachar, Naphtali, Asher, Manasseh, Simeon, Zebulun, and all those northern tribes. And then he brought over the southern tribes on cargo slave ships, man. And even took some of us from the northern tribes across the waters to different parts of Europe and stuff. You can read about this. It's all in secular history, man. So the only nation that, when you go into Deuteronomy 28 chapter, when it speaks about that the Lord will bring us into Egypt, which is Egypt and Mizraim, which that place is known for bondage, right? Slavery, the land of bondage or the land of slavery, by ships, was only during the translation slave trade. That's when the Lord took the children of Israel into Egypt, the land of bondage or the land of slavery, again with ships, man. All right, on the whole scale. All right, as far as on the large scale. See, because you got where they go into the some of the Greek the Greek history where they was traveling by water in different parts of Europe when the Greeks were the Greco-Roman Empire, and they was taking Jake from one part of Europe and then traveling through the what waters is that? I believe it's the Mediterranean. Let's get there real quick. Look at the map. I'm gonna prove that it's not talking about that time too, because